I've just fallen in love with a book that's coming up for auction, but if I'm going to buy it, I'm going to have to spend every last nickel and dime that I have. It's a first edition of Alice in Wonderland, a book that changed literature. And not only that, it's in a spectacular fine binding. But falling in love with books at auction is dangerous, and if I'm not careful and not disciplined, I might bid it up too high and literally go broke. So in this video, we're going to go to Cambridge to view the book in person before the auction, do our research on it and work out what's the maximum that we can pay, and then see how we get on auction day.
6,000, you want to line of £6,000.
We might have this actually.
6,000 plus not there, 6,000.
I received an auction catalogue in the post today, and as I was flicking through it, my heart stopped when I saw this book. I was immediately struck by the binding, and then as I looked closer, I saw it was a copy of the first published edition of Alice in Wonderland. The book has a complicated publishing history, but this was the first time that a book that paved the way for Narnia and Middle-earth was properly published and sold in the UK. Originally, the book was bound in red cloth with gilt decoration, and a pristine copy in the original binding would be the most sought after by collectors, worth many, many tens of thousands of pounds. And although this copy isn't in that original binding and has been rebound, it's been done so in the most beautiful way by a famous and enigmatic bookbinder of the 1890s and early 1900s called Captain C.E. Gladstone. But the real kicker was when I turned over the page and saw that they also had a first edition of the sequel to Alice, Through the Looking Glass, in a matching binding. And this got my heart racing even faster because, yes, on their own, they're both special and rare and important books. But together, a matching set of first editions in matching, fine, relatively early, decorative bindings. Now that's something really magnificent. The auction's still a couple of days away, but just based on these photos in the catalogue and what I've seen on their website, I desperately want to buy them. But first we're going to have to go to the auction house to view them to make sure that they're as beautiful in person as they are in the pictures. Good morning, it's the day before the auction today, so we need to go and view the copy of Alice in Wonderland, as well as the other books that they have. So it's time to drive over to Cambridge and I'll pick you up when we're there. Okay, so I've just got to Cambridge, so let's go inside and have a look at the book. So this is the beautiful case of bindings by Captain Gladstone that we've come to look at, and it's these two in brown leather that are just coming into focus, that are the Alices. We've got Alice in Wonderland on the left and Through the Looking Glass on the right-hand side. And it's the exterior condition of both of these that is beautiful. As I looked through some of the other books in the sale, a lot of them had faded spines, but these really were lovely and crisp. And the only negatives were a couple of short tears inside the Alice. But overall, we're still talking about books of exquisite beauty. So I've just got out of viewing both the Alice and the other books in the auction, and look, I have to confess with you, I've fallen in love with them. I think they're absolutely beautiful. But falling in love is a dangerous thing. I fear I may not be able to buy them at all. They might make an absolute fortune, and they deserve it. But what I'm going to do now is I have one or two people who I think they might really appeal to. So I'm going to speak to them, see if they're interested, and see if they'd like me to try and buy it for them. Good morning. So the auction has just got underway in Cambridge. You can see the auctioneer Charles there bidding away on, well, lot 7. Our lots are coming up in a few hours' time, lot 260 and 261, the Alice. And I just thought I'd update you on where we are. I'm still very much enamoured of them. I still think they're marvellous, marvellous things, and I still desperately want to buy them. I've just had another phone call with a customer of mine who is interested. And I thought I'd better explain to you, because it might be interesting, how this sort of thing works. So if I'm buying a book at auction, I'm doing it for one of two reasons. I'm either buying it for stock, so I buy it, I own it, I take it into stock, I put a price on it. The other option is that I can take a commission bid for a customer. And in that case, we come up with a number that we think is fair for them to pay. Instead, I would charge a fee, a percentage fee that covers, my time in viewing the book and executing the bid, as well as my expertise and advice in coming up with what's a fair and appropriate number that the market can bear and that's sensible to pay. We decided that we're going to go with the first option today. So I don't have a commission bid on these lots. Instead, I'm going to pay what I'm comfortable with as a fair price. And, my customer has said they like the book and they might be interested in buying it, but there's not a commitment to buy like there is with a commission bid. So that means we won't be bidding necessarily quite as high as we might otherwise have been. But I can bid with a certain amount of confidence that I've at least got concrete interest in it from one customer, and there are several other customers that come to mind that I think would really like it as well. So we're in a reasonable position. There is, at the beginning of these auctions, what I like to call the proxy war, which is in modern auctions these days. There is some bidding that happens on these lots before the auction opens. So you can see that the copy of Alice in Wonderland here is estimated, or was estimated, at £2,000 to £3,000. So you might expect in a traditional auction that the opening bid would be maybe £1,500 or £1,600, but this has already been bid up by people who have left bids on the auction already to £3,000, which is the top end of the estimate. And you have to remember that whatever you bid, you pay 25% on top of that. So if you bid £3,000, you pay £3,750 in total. And then if we look over at through the looking glass, there's bids on that as well. And actually more activity on this than I was expecting, to be honest. So the estimate there is £500 to £800. I think these estimates are very low. They're there to sort of attract as many buyers as possible. So if you keep them low, more people are interested because they think they might get a good deal. And the current bid is £1,300. Obviously that is plus the 25%. So that's a pretty high number. So we can see that there's already reasonable interest in them. I'm willing to pay more than that for both books, and a decent amount more than that, to be quite honest with you. But there's definitely going to be interest and there's going to be competition. This isn't going to be a walk in the park, and we're not going to pick it up for, they're already bid above the estimate. So we're not going to pick it up cheaply. It's not going to be a steal. But I'm going to keep thinking about what is the absolute maximum I'm willing to pay for this. So we're about 20 lots away now from the Alice in Wonderland. We're at lot 240 and it's coming up at lot 260. So it'll be up in the next 10, 15 minutes, probably about 15 minutes time. I've just got back from lunch. I've had a thought, and here's where I stand on it. Here's what I think we can pay. It's a tricky one because they're split over two lots, and both of them together are worth more than both of them separately. And that might put us in a dangerous position because it might push us to buy the first one, and then in order to chase that value, overpay for the second against disgruntled bidders who missed out on the first. So that's a consideration. I think I'd be willing to pay overall, where I'm really comfortable is paying £7,000 as a hammer price for both books. The question is would I pay more? I think my hard stop would be paying 8,000 hammer, so £10,000 overall for both books. But I think one would have to hedge a certain amount and not pay, in those circumstances, more than 6 or 6.5 hammer for the Alice, because I don't want to get caught short. I don't want to pay, say, £7,000 or £6,500 for the Alice hammer and only have £1,500 left to bid on through the looking glass, and it go up to 2 or 2.5, and then me being put in an invidious position where I'd feel I really ought to buy it, but any profit at that stage is really starting to escape away as the bids increase. So it's not straightforward, but I think that's where we are. I'd be very comfortable bidding up to 6,000 on the first book. I think going more than that would be dangerous. So I certainly can't exceed that limit. So I'll pause. We'll see what happens in a few minutes' time. There's going to be a second feed filming the auction so you can see what's going on as I bid. And wish me luck. So we're just on the previous lot before these fine bindings come up. The first lot is 259, which is a Vale Press Milton in one of these beautiful bindings by Captain Gladstone. That will give us an idea of, maybe a bit of an indication of where this is going to go and whether we're going to have any luck. If it flies and makes £2,000 plus, then I don't think we're going to be buying anything today. I'm going to turn Charles on and we'll see what happens. So that's selling for £1,600, which is a pretty strong price. It's about what I thought it was worth at retail. So now the ice is up.
It's been up. One lot 260 on the phone again. Lot 260 is the Alice in Wonderland. There you go. Lot 260. This one. Again, doesn't need much explanation, does it? Again, you tell me. When you start me, I can stop. 2,000. You ready? £2,000. 2002 is bid now. 2,200. 2002 is bid now. 3,000. 3,002. Take my book out. 3,002, 3,004, 3,006. This is Cheffin's platform. 3,008, 4,000.
So it's with me at £4,000.
This one here, 4,002.
It's gone against us.
4,2 at the moment. This is Cheffin's live platform. 4,2. 4,004. I've got Claire now. 4,4. 4,006. On Cheffin's at 4,6.
With us at 4,6.
4,008. Standing at 4,8.
Okay.
Standing bid 5,000.
I'll take 5. I don't know if it's wise to go any higher than this.
5,005 is bid. 5,005 standing there at 5,500. 6,000 on
Okay, I've taken 6,000.
6,000.
I can't pay more than 6. That's 7.5 overall for just one of the books.
£6,000. Can't because they're locked into increments on their outrageous, so I can't.
But it looks like it might be ours at 6.
I guess that's the limit for everybody. It's 6,000. You want to like £6,000.
We might have this actually.
6,000. Also, fair warning. 6,000 all done then.
I think we've got it.
6,000.
Someone's coming at 6.5.
6,507 if you wish.
7's too much. We were so close. I literally thought he was going to sell it to us.
Standing that I have on the room at £6,500.
7's too much. I can't pay 7. Damn. That's so annoying. I'm actually gutted. But I think if we were going to go more than that, it would have been silly. we'll see what the Through the Looking Glass makes, but I don't want it on its own. And I hope the person that bought the Alice is going to buy the Through the Looking Glass as well.
£1,600. My money's around 1,600 now, 1,600. 1,070. 1,700, 1,700, 1,700. 1,800 down here. 1,800, 1,900. Getting a clear 1,900. 2,000 standing. £2,000 is now standing. £2,000. The 2,000, 2,251. 2,000 pounds, 2,200. 2,002. Pretty copies here. 2,004.
Well, this is exactly why we didn't want to overpay for the first one, because now this is making, you know, if I'd bid 7 on the last one, this is at 2,400, so that's, you know, nearly £9,500 before we add premium on. So that sold for 2,500, which means that the total price that they made was 2,400 plus, so 8,900 hammer. So they've made £11,125. But it was another £650 I'd have to pay if I'd gone one bid more. I'm genuinely gutted about that. Really gutted. But that's how it goes at auction. You fall in love with these books and bid as much as you think is sensible or wise. And sometimes it doesn't go your way. So I suppose that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. A different sort of video, but I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next week.